Monica Williams, a successful Black entrepreneur, was humiliated when she was denied entry to her own club's VIP area. A week later, she returned with her team to reveal her true identity and shock the staff. Monica Williams, known for her entrepreneurial spirit and knack for creating an atmosphere of exclusivity, decided to personally check out one of her high-end establishments. Although she owned a chain of successful clubs across the country, she understood that the true essence of a venue could only be seen through the eyes of a regular visitor. She chose a Friday night when the club was at its peak, attracting the wealthiest clients. To avoid drawing unnecessary attention, Monica dressed modestly. She wore a simple yet elegant black evening dress that subtly highlighted her figure. She avoided lavish accessories, steering clear of excessive glitz. There was no usual gold pendant around her neck, and her wrists were bare. No expensive bracelets or watches. Her hair, usually styled in costly updos, was pulled back into a neat low ponytail, blending in with the crowd. The only adornments she wore were understated stud earrings. She looked like she was just out for a casual night, not the owner of an entire luxury club chain. When Monica approached the security guard at the VIP entrance, she smiled warmly, trying not to give away anything unusual. Her voice was steady and confident as she asked for permission to enter. But the guard, clearly judging her appearance, immediately frowned. His gaze swept over her simple dress and lack of pricey jewelry. It seemed he had already made up his mind at first glance. The guard raised his hand dismissively, stopping her. His eyes narrowed as he said, "The VIP area is for regular and verified clients only. You don't belong here." Monica felt a chill in his words but remained calm. She asked why she was being denied, trying to keep her tone even and non-confrontational. But the guard just snorted, casting a disdainful glance at her. "You don't meet the club's standards," he said, his voice full of hidden arrogance, as if her presence offended the very idea of a VIP area. Monica felt anger welling up inside her. But instead of arguing, she simply nodded, accepting the rejection. At that moment, she knew her suspicions were confirmed. She had seen the club as ordinary visitors did, those who didn't meet the imposed standards. Feeling humiliated but maintaining her dignity, Monica headed to the bar. She moved slowly, trying not to show her hurt, and sat down on a high bar stool to observe. In this club, one of the most popular in her chain, the atmosphere was one of luxury and exclusivity. The soft light of chandeliers created a cozy twilight, reflecting off expensive champagne glasses, while the DJ played rhythmic and seductive tracks that captivated the crowd. Wealthy guests, dressed in designer outfits, enjoyed cocktails and champagne, laughing and chatting in plush leather corners. Waiters, like trained actors, moved gracefully between tables, carrying trays of exotic drinks and dishes. Monica noticed that the staff only smiled at those who looked rich enough, with expensive watches on their wrists, in branded clothing and sparkling jewelry. Their greeting became warmer if they spotted glittering gems or heard an order for premium drinks. Taking a deep breath, she ordered a simple cocktail without unnecessary garnish and sipped it slowly, reflecting on what had just happened. From her corner, she could see the security guard at the entrance still carefully and critically scrutinizing each new visitor. He unceremoniously blocked people he deemed unfit for the club's elite. His arrogance became even clearer. He coldly turned away those not dressed fashionably or impressively enough. One woman, not meeting the high standards with her simple sandals and plain dress, tried to enter the VIP area. The guard waved her away with a sarcastic smirk, pointing to the exit. A man who arrived in a modest car was ignored, despite his polite request to enter. The guard just snorted and waved him off, not even bothering to listen to the end. Monica watched all this with growing anger. She realized that this was not an isolated incident, but part of a broader problem. The atmosphere of exclusivity, eagerly embraced by the staff, who had forgotten that their job was to serve guests, not judge them by appearance. Monica kept her composure, knowing that soon everything would change. She wouldn't allow such situations to continue in her establishment. Deep inside, she already knew it was time for a change. Her gaze narrowed as she watched yet another visitor being dismissed without any respect. The decision crystallized inside her, and she knew her next step would be a lesson for those who had forgotten what respect and professionalism meant. Gripping the glass in her hand, Monica mentally resolved that this would be the last evening such scenes could unfold in her club. A week later, Monica returned to the club, but this time it was a completely different entrance. She arrived not alone but with her team, a few assistants and managers who knew that today's visit would mark the start of significant changes. This time, her appearance was impeccable. She wore an elegant and luxurious dress that shimmered softly with every movement. It highlighted her status and charisma, leaving no doubt that this was a woman of power. A beautiful necklace sparkled around her neck, and a refined bracelet adorned her slender wrist. When she walked into the club, her entrance drew immediate attention. The music seemed to pause for a moment, and the guests' gazes focused on her. The security guard, the very one who had denied her entry a week earlier, nearly lost his composure. He immediately recognized the signs of elite: the expensive dress, the confident posture, and the entourage accompanying her. With a smile that looked more like an obsequious grin, he quickly unhooked the velvet rope and, slightly bowing his head, greeted her. "Good evening, ma'am. Please, proceed to the VIP area." His voice was respectful, and he didn't recognize her as the woman he had humiliated a week ago. Monica, without showing any emotion, gave a reserved nod and headed for the VIP area. Once inside, her team took their seats, and Monica, wasting no time, summoned the club manager, a tall, well-groomed man in a suit. The manager approached in surprise, trying to understand what was happening. "Gather the entire staff in the main hall immediately," she ordered clearly and calmly, without explaining why. The manager hesitated, confused by the situation, but noticing the seriousness in her tone, obeyed. Soon, all the club's staff, from bartenders and waiters to security and the DJ, were gathered in the spacious main hall. They whispered among themselves, not understanding why they had all been summoned or who this mysterious woman in the luxurious dress was. The wait soon ended when Monica, standing in the center of the hall, removed her large sunglasses, which had hidden her face until then. Her eyes sparkled with determination, and she turned to the security guard, who stood in the front row, already realizing that something had gone wrong. He recognized her, but it was too late. "I am Monica Williams," she said loudly and clearly, her voice echoing across the room. "I own this establishment and the entire chain of clubs, and I'm here to change everything." Immediate shock appeared on the staff's faces. The astonishment was evident, especially on the guard's face, who realized he had underestimated her. Monica didn't allow even a hint of a tremor in her voice. She looked at her employees with cold determination, knowing that this moment would be a turning point for everyone who had ever looked down on visitors with arrogant contempt. The room fell into a tense silence. All the staff, from waiters to security, froze, unable to believe their ears. The guard, who had humiliated Monica just a week ago, looked particularly lost. His face turned pale, and his eyes widened in shock. He realized that an irreversible mistake had just been made. He tried to find words, but his lips moved silently. Monica, however, showed no trace of pity as she looked directly at him, letting him feel the weight of his actions. She began to speak slowly and confidently, her voice firm and leaving no room for objections. "My establishments have always been created with one goal: to provide joy, comfort, and respect. But what I saw here a week ago was a complete lack of respect and unacceptable behavior." She paused, her gaze sliding over the faces of the staff, who listened with bated breath. "In my clubs, there will never be a place for bias, arrogance, and humiliation. We must be open to everyone, regardless of their appearance or background. Monica emphasized that every guest crossing the threshold of her venues should feel welcomed and respected. She explained that from now on, the entire staff would undergo intensive retraining on service standards. Those who cannot meet the new standards, she continued, will be forced to leave the company. I will not tolerate behavior that humiliates and alienates customers. The guard, trembling and embarrassed, tried to interrupt her, beginning to apologize. Ms. Williams, I didn't know. Please, forgive me, But Monica raised her hand, stopping him mid-sentence. Her face remained cold and unreadable. Your time here is over, she said, her voice as icy as steel. Leave the premises immediately. The guard, bowing his head, slowly turned around and, under the gazes of his colleagues, walked out of the hall. His shadow vanished behind the club doors, symbolizing the changes Monica was about to implement. After that, Monica addressed the gathered staff again, but now her voice was warmer and softer. She announced that in this club, where arrogance and prejudice had recently ruled, a charity event would be held to support the underprivileged. All proceeds from this event would go to help those in need, to demonstrate the true essence of her business, creating a place where everyone could feel part of something greater. The evening took place to the accompaniment of soft jazz music and surrounded by the smiling faces of guests. Monica personally greeted each visitor, exchanging pleasantries and ensuring that no one felt like an outsider. The club was packed. People enjoyed the warm atmosphere, delicious food, and a sense of unity. Monica, watching the guests, felt a sense of pride. She knew that at that moment, her clubs had become something more than just places for entertainment. From that day forward, her establishments became known not only for their luxury, but also for their commitment to social justice. Customers began to appreciate the atmosphere of openness and equality that Monica had brought to the nightclub industry. She gained well-deserved recognition as an entrepreneur capable of making society better. The story ended with a triumph of justice, as arrogance and prejudice gave way to equality and respect. Monica Williams proved that success isn't just about glamour and money, but about standing up for what's right and making the world a better place for everyone.